Graeme, welcome to Luton Town.
Thank you.
Normally when managers are appointed, the clubs are in sometimes difficult situations. You come to Luton, who've just won promotion and the champions to the championship, so slightly different.
It was a good choice, wasn't it? I think normally I'd be probably planning a training session for tomorrow and planning a game for the weekend, so it's been an unusual situation, but a privileged situation as well. Obviously things were agreed back in February, so I've been watching from a distance since then, and irrespective of results, I was always going to go to the last away game and the last home game of the season just to get a look at the boys live and on a big pitch.
In February, when the approach was made, what was your initial thought about joining Luton?
Well, the approach was made on the 9th of January, and my initial thought was very interested. It's an up-and-coming club. Obviously, I spoke to Gary, and quite quickly I felt that it was going to be the right club for me. Obviously, the 2020 board of directors are Luton supporters. They've had a history of backing their managers through the years, and that appealed.
And I think you've always wanted to eventually become a manager because you've been coach and assistant over the years.
Always, from the minute I started. But I've had many offers. I could have done this on maybe 5 or 6 occasions. And I think time in life is everything. I had a young family at that time. I'd obviously sat in the passenger seat with Roberto for 12 years, and I seen how much of an infringement that was on his personal life, and I didn't really want that at that time. That was one side of the story. The other side was I was heavily involved with and committed with Roberto and Darren Moore, and once I commit to something, then I normally give it everything I've got. But my two sons are 20 and 22 now. They've got their own life, so the timing was correct for me.
You spent a lot of time with Roberto. Do you think you'll be a manager similar to what he has been, or will you be your own man?
No, I think you'll obviously take traits, because I think what people forget about me and Roberto, we learned together. We started together, we were players together, it was all new. Obviously he developed in his role and I developed in mine. The two roles are completely different, so I'll definitely take some things, but I think you have to be yourself.
The style of play that you and Roberto have had over the years has tended to be passing football, play out from the back. Is that what we can come to expect here?
Yeah, but I need to get in and assess the players as well. They need to be capable of that, and to be fair, what I've seen so far, they are. But I've always been involved in teams that want the ball, first and foremost, want to attack, want to score goals. I'm afraid that at any level you don't win anything unless you score goals, so that's the school I'm from. I'm not one of them who wants to defend and see out the game and get a 0-0. I always try to be on the front foot, try to be positive, try to understand where space is, try to get the players to understand where space is and how you can hurt an opponent. That's always the first thoughts. But obviously, as the years have gone on, I've definitely became a bit more pragmatic to shutting the back door, because you need to be good at both.
What have you made of Luton when you've seen them?
Exactly that. I think the most powerful thing is the strength in unity. Obviously we've got some very, very good individuals, but the strength in unity, when I see James Collins and Loire working back at Burton, I actually took a picture. We had 11 players defending our own third. I think that strength and unity is very, very powerful. You don't see that at every football club.
You'll know though that the step up to the championship is a massive leap. Can those boys cope with that?
Why not? They've certainly earned the right to be there. I just think that, I don't want to make any bold predictions or any negative predictions. I think we need to use the momentum of the club in the last 3 or 4 years. Maybe even longer than that, since 2008, since the 2020 board took over the run of the club, and let's see where it takes us.
You obviously got the seal of approval from Mick Harford, so we've got one from Sunderland, one from Newcastle now. North East explosion here.
But we're both at Luton now, thank God. No, Mick's been brilliant. Mick's been, along with Gary and David Wilton's, been fundamental to me sitting here today, because Mick obviously played his role. He was part of the recruitment process in January and took over and did an incredible job. We're in this position because of everybody in the football club, but Mick was obviously the leader of that group.
This must be so exciting for you, your first management job, and you've probably wanted to do this for so many years. How are you feeling about that prospect?
Good, ready, looking forward to it. All them things.
And Luton Town out on that pitch, are they going to need more players, more quality players for the Championship next season?
Well, I think the first thing I want to state is that if we were in League One, we'd be looking to do that. But the group of players that are here have earned the right to be part of it. And if we can improve and help the players that are already here in certain areas and improve the squad, then I'm sure with Gary that's what we'll do.
The group of players as a set are very close. Is that going to be good for you as a new manager coming in?
It's fantastic. I think it's something that you can't falsify. It's something that happens naturally, and what you have to do is be empathetic with it and understand it and embrace it and keep it, and that will be something that'll definitely be on the agenda.
I think the statement said that there would be minimum disruption to the coaching staff and the players. Is that something that you're happy with? You'll presumably bring in a few coaches, will you?
Absolutely. Remember, this is a winning football club. There's nothing wrong at Luton Town Football Club, so why change it? We're just looking to improve in certain areas, to be a little bit more experienced off and on the pitch, because we've got a different challenge this season. So that's where the work is this summer.
Have you spoken to the players, or when will you speak to the players?
I spoke to the players last night. No big speech, just I wanted to say hi, and obviously they need to put a face to a name. They've known about it for a little period of time now, so I wanted to let them know, how well they've done this season, and also the wonderful challenge we've got in front of us. But other things like when they're back for pre-season training and dates and for the diaries as much as anything. So yeah, that's all it was about.
Is that first meeting significant? Because it's a first impression, isn't it, that players want to have on the new manager?
I don't know, you'd have to ask them really. No, but it's good. It's good that we've seen each other before. Obviously they went on holiday, and we spoke about looking after themselves on the holiday. We spoke about the sports science aspect and pre-season, off-season programmes, and so yeah, I think it was an important meeting.
I suppose for you probably just want to get on the training ground with them, don't you? And you're going to have to wait.
Well, that's where I'm at my most comfortable. That's something that I don't think about, so I'm looking forward to that. So,
cool. Gary, just a few words. You must be delighted to have Graeme in here.
Yeah, absolutely delighted, and actually I almost feel blessed. The fact that Graeme's been offered 5 or 6 roles before, but it's Luton ultimately that he's chosen, and maybe because we've got our timing right, but also that there is a certain kinship in character between the club and the man here. I think it's a very, very good fit for us at this particular time, whether we were a League One or Championship, incidentally.
Nathan Jones, when he was brought in, was a bit of a similar appointment, but good track record as far as coaching concerned, and then wanting that ambitious manager to then take the next step.
Yeah, and a lot of people have suggested that taking managers who haven't been managers is a risk, but I just don't see it that way. Graeme, if you look at Graeme's CV, his history suggests that he's probably one of the most experienced coaches that's actually ever managed Luton Town Football Club in its entire history. There aren't many managers we've had that have actually managed through to World Cup finals, and with a squad of players like Belgium had last year, but also with the Premier League and the Championship experience he's got. I think we're blessed.
With player-wise, who sits down and chats about ins and outs? Is it the three of you, Mick and Graeme?
Well, when you lot go, that's what we're doing. So, and this is poignant because it's really been quite interesting over the last few weeks because you literally have had a role reversal with Mick doing Graeme's job and Graeme doing Mick's job, and that's actually been a real benefit for Graeme, for a manager to come into a new club and be able to effectively scout the players that he's going to introduce to the club, potentially with Mick's approval, because actually if Mick doesn't approve, then we don't do it. We've got a bit of a triumvirate reunion between us here. But actually what's happened is Graeme's been incredibly respectful to Mick's role and the job that Mick has had this season to get us over the line, and has yesterday was the first time Graeme came to the Brace. It's the first time he met a player, it's the first time he met the staff. So today is the first time that Mick and Graeme and myself and a couple of others have got to have a conversation about current players in contract, out of contract, and recruits coming in.
Does it kind of feel like a whole new chapter has started? It's up into the Championship champions and now Graeme in charge.
Not really. I mean, with no disrespect to anybody here, I think it's a continuation of an existing chapter. I mean, of course it's a new page. I would suggest, but we don't change. There's nothing really that's going to change in the organisation, in the club. The culture isn't going to change. I think we're going to improve, but there's no real change here. I mean, as we've always constantly probably bored you all with a message of the fact that our foundation is quite solid, and actually the culture within the organisation is a professional culture. We're all hard working. We're all with the same aims. So it's a collective union. We're all on the same page, and that doesn't change at all. Graeme just neatly fits into that.
Just a final couple, Graeme. I mean, you've worked with the Belgium national team with some of the best players in the world. How do you then sort of adapt to working with Luton Town players? You've got different levels there.
I think the challenge is still the same. I think I look to have understanding of them individuals, understanding of the team dynamics, and I always want to improve people. And it was no different with Belgium. Obviously, you're in a short period. You're working for 10-day camps and you're working for a 5-week World Cup. It's slightly different, but you still have to. The challenge is still to get people at the best in order to get football results. So I don't see it any differently. You could say I had to adapt when I went to West Brom as well, because the Belgium national team have got so many great stars. I don't even think about that. It's just ultimately it's to get the best out of the group of players you've got and affect them individually.
And just give us an idea of how that championship will be different to League One, because obviously you've experienced that with the Baggies. Yeah,
well, the last time I was in League One was 2008, so I've seen a few games this year. All I can tell you about the championship's about winning, and the championship's about reacting. Because there's so many games and it's so competitive, and you have to play for every second of every game. But it's, as I've said, it's a wonderful league. I had 11 years away from the championship until the beginning of last season, and it's improved massively. There's a tactical challenge in every game that's different. There's an honesty about the league, and a real honesty about the league. They go for every second of the game. And big clubs, household names, but when you strip it all back, it's still 11 v 11, and if you show very little respect when you're on the pitch, you can be effective, and that's a message we'll be given.
Cool, thank you.
Just how much you know about Luton as a club as well before you joined. Have you played against them in your playing career? And have you played at Kenilworth Road that before?
Yeah, it's one of the few clubs I've managed to score at both ends in for Wigan in successive seasons. So I know Kenilworth Road well enough. I think I've played there 3 times. Really felt the atmosphere and the power of the club, which again I know we're all really looking forward to Power Court, but I think Kenilworth Road will be very, very important next season. I was privileged to be there at the weekend. I felt the atmosphere and I felt how intimidating it can be. I was having a good look at the environment as much as the players on the pitch at the weekend, and we're going to need it next season, and hopefully we'll be getting positive results there.
I was because you saw the atmosphere that the fans, I mean, just how loud it was and what they can achieve on Saturdays. How important was that for you to see them?
It was brilliant. Something that I already knew, really, because I'd played there. But when you consider they took 42,000 people to the Johnson's Paint final as well, you realise the size of the club, and you realise the power of the support. At any football club, if you can get every single department contributing, supporters, players, staff, then you've got a chance of being successful. So it'll require everybody.
In the last 2 months, I mean, what's your sort of role been? Have you been out scouting games, looking at players? What have you actually sort of been doing? I mean,
exactly that. Been everywhere. I've seen as many games as I possibly can at every level. Watching players, but also watching styles of play of other teams. So yeah, no, it's been an interesting period. You don't really, as a manager, you don't really get a dress rehearsal for the job. So I've had a little bit of time to have a good look at. I had lots of different leagues, lots of different players, but I think the most important one was the last 2 games that I saw our own players for Luton Town.
Obviously, you've played the Diamond now for a couple of seasons. Is that a formation that you would look to go ahead with as well, or have you got your own ideas on that side of things?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at our last, 20 games for West Brom, we played a very, very similar shape, which can be tweaked. But you need to be respectful of results and stats and facts. Luton are unbeaten at home during the season playing the Diamond, so you have to consider these things, but it's a system I like a lot. So
Gary mentioned as well you were the sole candidate. I think when Nathan left, they approached you and no one else. So how pleasing is that to know that you were the main man for the job?
Well, it's another contributing factor of why I'm sitting here today. I would have never applied for a job. I think my CV as an assistant was enough for somebody that was intelligent enough to see it, and Gary was. So when we sat down, we were very like-minded. You either connect or you don't. That's really how I am as a person, and I felt that instantly. So it's been very positive.
Obviously, you wanted to stay and honour your contract to West Brom, though. Is that sort of commitment and that kind of thing really important to you as well?
Well, I've always done that. I've had opportunities with Roberto. I had on the 9th of January, I could have came in and become Luton manager. I did not want to leave Darren Moore. Darren Moore's been a friend for 25 years, somebody I respect. Didn't want to leave West Bromwich Albion Football Club. We were in the middle of a campaign to get out of the league. I don't think it's ethically correct to do that in the middle of a season, and at that point they were my priority. That's why I'm grateful to Mick Harford, because he took the reins and obviously guided the club to the position we're in today. So all them things were important to me, but once I'd agreed with Gary in early February I was going to take the job. If it was League One, it was League One. I committed to the football club because I like what I saw.
Were you surprised to be let go by West Brom in the end, especially with how well the club were doing? I think we were 4th when the decision was made.
Well, I'll be delighted if on the 9th of March this year, if Luton have got 61 points and one of the top goal scorers in the Championship. Yeah. But, these things didn't work out exactly how everybody planned, but as long as your conscience is clear and you give your best, then you can be happy, and I certainly am.
You mentioned Power Court and Newlands Park. Have you looked at the plans, looked at all the new stadium and how that looks as well?
I have, yeah. Not in huge detail because we're a lot of football results away from getting to Power Court. So, but it's great because there's a real future here at the football club, and we're in a great league. You know what the next challenge is the biggest league in the world. So we couldn't be in a better place, really.
I think Mick Harford as well said he hopes to get a good relationship going with you. Just how important will that sort of dynamic be with putting you?
I think we've got one already. I've spoken to Mick on a few occasions. Obviously, I've been really wary of the momentum that was with the club. I didn't want to affect that. I didn't want to be the next manager sitting in the stand and players' mentality changing towards a promotion push. or the new managers here, I need to try a little bit harder. I don't really think like that. I like people to try and be natural. And through Gary and through making myself, it's been the right decision because we're in the Championship. And now, obviously, I'm going to work with Mick, work with Gary. We're in a recruitment phase, and then pre-season we're looking to become as strong as we possibly can as a football club.
In regards to the players coming, is there a number you think is needed at the moment? Do you think there's that much improvement needs to the squad really?
No, it's not about improvement, it's about helping the squad. It's about making the squad a little bit bigger, a little bit more competitive, a little bit more flexible, because there's a tactical challenge in the Championship that changes game by game. And it's just making sure when that window closes that we're equipped.
Kerry said as well that the club won't overstretch budget-wise. I mean, do you have a budget to work with, and you're quite happy with what's set in front of you?
I've known nothing else. At Swansea we had a budget, at Wigan we had a budget, at Everton we had a budget. For the Belgium national team we had no budget. So I've known nothing else really. It's about doing your work and doing extra work and make sure you go into detail and work within the confines of the club, and I've got no problem with that.
Has Roberto been in touch to offer you his best wishes?
Yeah, he has. Yeah, I got a text I think late last week. So no, me and Rob are lifelong friends. That won't change just because we're in different roles now.
Morning, Graeme.
Okay.
Graeme, what's been made of your sort of journey through football? In fact, you World Cup with Belgium, Premier League. But in fact, you've got a sort of journey through football which has prepared you for most, because you started with North Shields.
Yeah.
If people like to look at it as moving higher, they will. And you've been in League One before, so really nothing's going to surprise you, is it?
Well, I think football always surprises you. But I started at Millwall, I got released, so I had a poor experience there. I wasn't ready. I went back home, played non-league football for Newcastle Blue Star, which was a glamorous non-league club in the northeast. I had a season playing in Sweden, which not many people know, in the summer when there was no football going on in this country. And then I went to North Shields, and then I went to Luton Town, and obviously progressed through the leagues from then. So I'm as prepared as you can be, but football has that habit of throwing up something new, Gareth.
And of course, the League One experience is good with Roberto at Swansea.
Yeah.
So you've come through that. You've been at West Brom. Yes, there will be surprises, but what I would suggest is slightly unusual in these circumstances. To go back right at the beginning, Gary mentioned last week that on his first approach to you, he was actually very, very happy with the fact that you were saying, "No, I'll see things out of West Brom if I can now." That, to quote him, that gave an impression of your straightforward and honest approach to things.
Yeah, well, it was uncomplicated. That's how it was. I wasn't prepared to leave Darren. I wasn't prepared to leave West Brom, and the players. The players there were fantastic. I enjoyed working with every single one of them, and I enjoyed the football club, and I was totally committed to that. And as I've said, if it wasn't for Gary's sensitivity with the talks and Mick's sensitivity and David Wilkinson's, then I wouldn't be in this position. They had to understand that I was committed to that. Obviously, as things transpire, as I've just said to you, in football, sometimes it throws up some surprises, and it did on the 9th of March, but once I sorted out my situation in West Brom, I've just moved forward and looked at lots of games and lots of players and used the time from a beneficial point of view.
That's, as you were just saying earlier, that's quite unusual, because in the majority of cases a manager comes in because a club is struggling or in trouble. It's giving you this sort of 2-month or so window to work in the background, which is quite unusual. And obviously you've looked at players, but have you also looked at clubs in the Championship just to assess, well, you know them anyway, and then you can take a step back, if you like, when you're not working with West Brom.
Yeah, and that's what it's allowed me to do. When you're in the mix every day, it's intense, and sometimes it's good to come out and have some time to yourself to reflect, because in football you really don't.
No.
you move from one season to the next. So I think that's been the most beneficial part of that period. But I've seen games at every level. My first game was Walsall Barnsley in League One. I've seen Man City Spurs in the quarter-final of the Champions League. I've been in Spain. I've looked at games at every level. So I've got an understanding of the market and how difficult recruitment is as well. I was part of that process with Kevin Reeves and Roberto back in 2008, and then once you hit the Premier League, it's busy. You're lucky if you get 3 or 4 weeks break and you want to spend that time with your family. So it's been hugely beneficial. Remember, I didn't have a break last summer. I went straight in the West Brom job from the World Cup. So it's been refreshing on many fronts.
But originally, at least, obviously in the background, there was an agreement with Luton. But originally, of course, when you were moving around grounds, I don't suppose many people could have been aware what your plans were regarding Luton. So,
no,
in one way, you're sort of a secret agent moving about.
Yeah, that might be my next job.
Could be a vacancy for Bond.
But Gary's very good at it as well. So, no, it's been a good period.
But the sound of it, you enjoyed the time at West Brom.
I loved it.
With the players.
The players were magnificent. I mean, talking about it's a Premier League club that came down, and that's not easy. As Stokes found out, and as Swansea's found out, to make that club competitive, there's a real after effect when you get relegated from the Premier League. And to make the club competitive was one of the things I'm most proud of in my career. And we changed myself and Darren changed a style of play, which isn't easy, because when you change anything, it takes time and sometimes it costs you results. And I think we were in a strong position, but the club decided to make a decision which is their right, and we all abide by it. And I'm now just looking forward that I'm in a privileged position at Luton Town.
You mentioned how happy you'd be if Luton were in that position where you left West Brom. I took a quick look at the stats before coming over. West Brom were 4th when you and Darren left, and funnily enough, they finished 4th in the table.
Yeah.
What's that telling you?
I don't know. I've never really looked into that kind of detail.
And,
I'll tell you what it does tell me. I know the players are good enough to get promoted to the Premier League. The players are used to big games. They're used to going to Man United and winning, going to Newcastle and winning. The players are very, very capable. So I'll be rooting for them in the playoffs, I can assure you.
Yeah, you keep an eye on it Saturday, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
But in mentioning that, the particular clubs in the playoffs in the Championship are big clubs, you'd argue. And with Luton, these are the places we'll be going. Not necessarily promoted clubs. Obviously, 1 or 3 of the 4 clubs in the playoffs will still be here.
Yeah.
They'll be in the Championship. But there are clubs that didn't make it. Forest, Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah.
Almost as a habit now. It's away from home, we'll be going to big grounds. Luton had to taste that this last season. Obviously, they came out even against Sunderland, came out even against Portsmouth. But it's going to be, a step up in terms of the atmosphere, and I think possibly the challenge we'll face. There's of course some clubs coming down as well. You've got Cardiff and Fulham. Again, biggish grounds.
Huddersfield.
Yeah,
they'll be competitive.
Yes.
It's just it's a Premier League too, isn't it? Now that's what I felt after a 10-year break. It's an exceptional league. I think I hear a lot of negatives about the Championship. It's over a season. There's a game every 3 days. It's the opposite. It's a brilliant league. It's a one that I'd like to succeed in. It's a one I want to find the code for, as Chris Wilder's done this season.
Yeah.
Chris has done incredible. I think it's just a wonderful challenge. Yes, there's big clubs, but surely as players and a management team, you want that. You want to go into the biggest clubs in the country and test yourself. But as I said earlier, it's 11v11. The crowd don't play, and the management teams don't play. It's 11v11 on the pitch. So we're looking forward to it.
Do you feel West Brom can go through and go up?
I do, yeah. Because I know they've got the mentality, I know they've got the quality, and I know they've got the flexibility now. So I'll be rooting for Jimmy Shan and the boys to try and get in the Premier League.
it seems without a doubt that your experience there last season will hopefully benefit Luton next season.
Well, that's a plan in any, if you get any experience in anything, you hope you learn something along the way, and I certainly think I did.
Thanks, Graeme. Good to speak. Thank you.
I read on the FA website you did a piece saying that as a manager style, a coach comes second, but should be the centre of attention. Is that something that you'll be bringing to the club as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's about the player. It's always about the player. You need to improve the player, you need to understand the player, you need to get the player to be happy in his environment in order to perform. That won't change for me being manager now instead of assistant. I did read them comments because somebody sent them to me, and I thought how much the game moves on in 6 years as well. So, but I'll stand by that one definitely.
You mentioned looking at games all over Spain and stuff like that. I mean, would you maybe looking at the foreign market to bring players in? Is there any? Would you be looking at that kind of stuff as well?
Every market. I think you have to. The championships it's renowned worldwide now, so you have to look worldwide for your players, and obviously I've done that through the years because I've got experience of working with foreign players from South America to all over Europe. So I just think you have to be open, but what we've got to get at Luton is the right players.
It's an attractive proposition, isn't having a club on the up, as you say, with the mention that's going to come into the championship, so people will want to sign for the club, won't they?
Yeah, championship football, new stadium, a great group of players that are already here, good foundations at the club. I think that that name travels well in the world of football now.
And the training ground, I mean, it's a new facility as well, and it's a brilliant facility, isn't it?
It's absolutely brilliant. There's everything here you need to be successful. I'm looking forward to getting to work.
Just a quick one on the supporters, Graeme. They've been used to winning for the last 2 seasons, so that's going to be, expectation-wise, next season a bit of a challenge, do you feel?
Well, Gary's reminding me that the club's been used to 1.8 points per game for 5 years now.
Nearly 10 years.
Nearly 10 years, so no pressure. We'll just have to try and make it 3 points. No, I think I don't want to put any predictions on anything. I think the supporters who I've spoke to are intelligent enough to understand the league we're going into, but nobody can tell you how we're going to do in the next league. We need to use momentum, and we need to be competitive and see where that takes us.
Cool.